Scoopy coming in.
You are listening to the Topic and the Unfiltered Podcast. Welcome. Let's listen.
Oh, SJ in the house.
Apologies.
Hello, Coopy.
Chill out.
We got SJ and Cooper.
Yeah.
Are you going to stay here the whole time, Coopy?
I reckon he might, but I don't really want
I got your tea, babe.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. So yeah, do not disturb.
I got water.
How good are we? Ah! What are you doing? Are you going to stay out there or are you going to come in here? What do you want? He'll crack it if I leave him out, probably.
Will he? Just leave him in here.
He's scratching because he's allergic to grass. What kind of
Hello,
dog's allergic to grass?
SJ.
Hey, Tommy.
Whee!
Here we are. We've come full circle.
Yeah, we've come full circle because I've had you on before, haven't I?
Yes.
It's been a while, hasn't it, eh?
It's been... Is that Winston?
Huh?
Was that Winston or Nicola?
Probably, who cares?
It's been a while. It's COVID.
Welcome, babe. We're running.
Are we actually?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, great.
We're rolling.
Filming without consent.
Do you want headphones or is that going to ruin your hair?
Nah,
No?
let's do it. I was just trying to see if I can
Hey,
see.
Coopy.
I'm getting to the point where I need glasses and I can't really see without them, but I'm not sure how I feel about them yet.
Wow, you
me there.
look great. You fully got dressed up for
Well,
the tea,
Does it look a bit much with the glasses?
mate. That looks
Do I look intelligent?
the bomb.
Do I look like I know what I'm talking about? This actually, I think this sound really...
Do you remember this a little closer? Yeah. We're
on
singing.
this.
Oh, it's SJ.
Oh, I left you hanging. There we go.
Welcome, babe.
Hello.
I reckon. Do you want to move your chair so you get a little bit closer to the mic?
I can just move closer.
Oh yeah. Just so you don't sound too far away. Is that good?
Is that
I can
good
move
for you?
this, that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a little
perfect.
person.
Oh my god.
Tommy Kendi.
It's so good to have you here, Miss SJ. You know what's awesome?
What?
I
live
see
with
you
you,
all the
basically.
time. Huh?
That I live with you, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I see you all the time, and I don't know. Since I've started this new version
Yeah.
of my potty,
Yeah.
I got to realise how many fucking cool people I have in my life.
You actually do.
I know.
We have a good setup at
We've
the
got
moment,
an amazing
I think.
setup.
When we have our family dinners,
Yeah.
it's a good setup.
It's
A
epic.
good bunch of people.
I know. And I had Kat on last week.
I know, she told me.
And it's so cool. Like, because it's weird when we get together,
Yeah.
we don't really talk about our lives, do
No.
we? I mean, we do. We talk about the personal stuff, which
Usually
is great.
nonsense is
Yeah,
what
we
we're
talk about
talking about.
nonsense and whatever, but we don't really talk about what we actually do.
No. I think
No.
we get a bit tired of it sometimes, so that when we all come together, we just want to have a laugh and have fun together. And
Yeah.
like, not that we're different, like we're all the same person still, whether you've got us in this scenario or you know, around the dinner table, but sometimes it's nice just to, you know, just have fun too.
Yeah.
I think we forget that.
Yeah.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, even though I'm late all the time to every family dinner, I do actually love being there.
You do. You rock up. It's like the fucking red carpet has
I'm
to
like,
be rolled out for
We're-
SJ's arrival.
Yeah, I know. And then everyone keeps joking, saying it's at my house next, and I just keep laughing. 'Cause
What
it's
would you,
not.
if we did family dinner at your house, what would you cook?
Well, I can cook. It's more I don't want to.
No, I've tasted your food once. I think
I'm
it
a
was a
good
spag bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I'm a good cook. I can cook Italian.
You're an amazing cook.
Yeah. I get anxious about like a whole, like say it was just you and Nicola, fine.
Yeah.
But then once it starts being more than that, but I can take you all out for dinner. I can do
Nah,
that.
you can't do that.
I can.
No.
Trust me.
You gotta put your heart into the meals.
Maybe it's deeper than what we think, Tommy. Maybe it's actually.
What
maybe
else?
there's something deeper behind than not wanting to cook at the moment. I don't know.
Speaking of deeper, what else makes you anxious?
Airports.
Airports.
I
Yeah.
hate airports.
Yeah.
I don't understand them. I always get in trouble every time, no matter what I do. I'm either getting drug tested, bomb tested. I'm making a joke that they don't find very funny. Something goes wrong every time. So if I'm just really quiet and on time, I'm fine, which is hard for me. Both of those things are difficult. So
Oh man.
yeah.
And what were you doing before you came here?
I went for a run.
Did ya?
I'm trying to get back into my running.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because I've just been doing weight training.
Yeah.
but none of my pants fit over my butt at the moment. So big butt,
Yeah.
it's nice.
Big
But
butt's good.
it's good, but I'd like to, improve the cardio a bit.
Yeah.
So going back to the running.
You know what I find weird is that I think we had a little conversation about this the other day,
Yeah.
but what I find, the women that I know really well, that they're always talking about getting their asses smaller and to get everything smaller.
Boys
But-
don't like that, though.
Well, it's not that we don't like it. I feel like when you're a dude, it doesn't like you need something to hold on. You do.
Oh, look, I think it depends on what culture you're brought up in as well. Like, I came from a modelling industry where, I'd get skin fold tested and things like that. So
What's
from
that mean?
15, they'll check your skin folds to see, like, your weight, and, I would be like 48 kilos and they'd be concerned about that, So,
What, as in concerned that you're too heavy?
yeah.
Fuck.
So, that was from when I was like 15. I got my first modelling contract. So, and because I was shorter, I had to make sure that I fit in other boxes quite neatly. But I think the culture's changing, which is something that's great. Like, I think we're becoming a lot more about strong versus skinny, whereas, in the 90s, as a lot of us know, we were really primed to be skinny. And you were called fat, you were called all sorts of things if you weren't an ideal weight, which was really a size 6 to 8. 6 in the field that I grew up in anyway. So, I'm more conscious about what's actually healthy for me now. And I want to live my life too. I don't want to... I want a balance of where I feel like I'm enjoying food without the mental chatter. Just looking after myself. That's why I like going to the gym or going for a run. I enjoy those things. They're not punishment. They're good for me. They're good for my mental health as well. So I ran just along the beach just to get involved with nature, Tommy.
Yeah, I like it.
Just because, and it's not far, it's like 3 kilometres, and I'm not trying to go fast or anything. It's just something that's, getting my body moving in a way that's not concerned by what I look like.
Man, running for me is, I fucking hate running.
I don't love, like, more than 5K I'm not into.
Yeah.
But just up to that.
Do you time it?
Gently. Like,
what do you mean gently?
Like, I time it, but I'm not, like, trying to beat it or anything. Some
So
days
what did
I'm
you,
faster,
did you run
sometimes I'm
5Ks today?
I ran 3.5 today.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
when you do
cool.
5, how do you know how long you do it in?
I'm not fast, like, so I'd probably be like 7 minutes per kilometre.
Yeah, I reckon.
Just a gentle pace.
Yeah. That's because I think the last time I went for a run, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I did 5Ks and I always check it on my watch.
Yeah.
And I was doing 6-minute 45s or something.
I'm not trying to be an athlete. I'm not trying to run fast. I'm listening to what feels nice for me. My knees don't hurt, my legs don't hurt. I'm enjoying it. Plus keeping healthy that way. So, I think our culture is changing. I'm careful around my own mindset around it. I did bodybuilding at a point in time, then modelling at a point in time. So, I was primed from pretty early that looks were important, weight was important. I never really necessarily had an eating disorder, but I would say I had distorted eating around, like I couldn't eat without my head talking to me to some degree about what I would look like.
All those industries you're talking about, modelling and bodybuilding, like they're all prone to some serious mental health issues.
Yeah. And they work well in a weird way to my personality.
Yeah.
So I'm quite perfectionist, I like a task and I like meeting that. So, and sometimes that's a good thing. It helps me in other areas of my life, but other times it's not a good thing because I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. But that's been, my brain wants me to be.
That must be tough, man.
Oh, it's not a nice time sometimes, I'll be honest. Because I can't, that's why I like coming here and just having fun and stuff, because sometimes I won't have fun because everything's so serious. Like, I can be a bit of a serious Sally, I have to be the best at everything. I have to be good at everything. I have to be the smartest in the room. I have to, it's exhausting. Like, Sarah, just chill out.
Just chill.
Just chill out.
Because isn't it funny with you? We've known each other for quite a long time, and from what I've seen with you since we've gotten close mates and whatever, is that I sit back and I'm in awe of what you've created, and I think a lot of people are.
I wish I was.
Well, this is a thing. And then when I see you, the way that you talk about this epic mammoth of a thing you've created with Spinal Energetics, and you have it's almost like you don't see what you've created.
No, I don't think. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, if that makes sense. I think the good thing is it keeps me always, integrity. Like with what I do, I never want to drop the ball. I always want to make sure it's, on a continued path of not necessarily growth. It needs to grow, but it needs to not be growing at the expense of the integrity or the quality of the work itself. And we need to be helping people. That's why I'm passionate about it. Obviously, me on a personal level, I've had an interesting life, to say the least. So if I can make people, make some lemonade out of their lemons in their life, that's all this is, really. Yeah. But it keeps me driven in a way, not in an egotistical way, but in a way where I can think bigger, like what's next, what's more possible. Sometimes I sit there and I'm proud of where I am compared to the cards I was dealt. Like I'm in a different place now than when I started.
Yeah.
And not to sound, not materialistically necessarily, but just, if I was to start a family now, that child would have a very different beginning than the beginning I had. And I think that's what's important to me, like making sure that, with every bit of my time that I'm growing as a person and making sure that, opportunities for myself and the people I love around me are possible still. I'm really excited to take my sister to Canada. She hasn't been able to go on a holiday for a long time. We're going to Canada in a few weeks for work, so to do some spinal courses over there. So I'm just so happy I get to do that for people I love. What's the point otherwise?
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
So in terms of cards being dealt.
Yeah, that was interesting.
What do you reckon that the toughest situation that you pulled yourself out is from?
Look, it's hard to say because they all felt like the toughest at the time. Each thing has its own intricacy, its own nuance to it, its own lesson to it. So I don't want to say that some were tougher than others. Some just had different time frames associated with it and different depths and different parts of destruction, I guess.
Well, then what's if you were to look back over your life, what's the place where you got the most growth?
Yeah.
Asking the same
growing.
question in a different way.
I know what you're doing to me. You're playing with fire. No. Look, from childhood, definitely, not having a father, that was a challenge, especially because of the type of nature I am. Like, I love boys. I love hanging out with the guys. Like, I love that. You're
one of the boys.
Yeah, I'm one of the
so
boys.
Easily. Yeah.
So I think, I was lucky I had an older brother. He really took me under his wing and I got to have that male energy, thank goodness. But that was definitely tough. Seeing my mum struggle a lot with 3 kids, not necessarily the life she wanted to be living. She wasn't quiet on that either, necessarily. She always spoke about doing things differently and, she never really lived her life the way that she wanted to, which is probably something that's taught me to make sure that I realise and understand I don't have time forever. Like, I'm quite an instantaneous person. I don't sit and wait for a special occasion in that way. And my mum did teach me that. She waited her whole life and never got to experience what she really truly wanted to, which is unfortunately what happens to many of us in this lifetime. Financially it was very difficult growing up, very, very, very hard. We couldn't afford to go to the dentist and, little things like that I just take for granted now, and I don't want to say that it was like, there's a lot of other people out there who have a lot of more difficulties than I had.
Of course.
But, on perfect family piece of paper, it wasn't there, she was working as well to look after us. So it was an interesting upbringing. But the best thing that came up from it was the fact that my mum knew very early on, which is very interesting for the type of nature she was, to let me be myself. When she had me, she knew that there was something She's like, this kid's different.
Yeah.
I've got to just let her be who she is in this world. And she did allow me that, and she loved me anyway. And I think that's a very beautiful lesson to learn from a very early age. Not everyone has that. You know, their parents or their friends or their mentors are trying to control what kind of person they want that child to be. Whereas my mum never, like, let them kind of break my soul, so to speak. Like, you know, the school system, when you place your kids in there, they kind of, about 7 or 8, they start to conform and lose that spark. I suppose my mum always let me have that spark and never tried to, you know, change me on that. And I think that's been one of the best things for me.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have the spark. and I think it's so, like, since I've been doing this podcast and I get guests on and whatever, sometimes I feel like I haven't had a fucked up enough childhood. I've had a fucked up enough childhood.
What are we bonding over?
To warrant. I mean, obviously, yeah, I've gone through my fair share of struggles, but I feel like my struggles were self-inflicted, not forced.
I did that later.
Yeah,
that was later for me. Look, I kind of have a different perspective on this, which I guess isn't proven by science at this point in time. But you know how they say, like, by the time you're 7 or 8, you're pretty much molded. I don't believe that. I believe that there's a molding that happens, and there's lessons that go through that. That there's lessons that occur through your life, where you work through those scenarios. But I don't believe that you're made, and by the time you're 7, whatever you had happen to you is that equates to the rest of your life. It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, they also say that the ages between 0 and 2 is when you get the bonding from the mum. Yeah. And 2 to 4, you're meant to get the nurture. Oh no, sorry, the nurturing from the mum is 0 to 2. Yeah. And the father steps in like 2 to 4 is when they start to feel a level of safety and protection.
So it's not looking good for me, Tommy.
Well, it's not looking good for my daughter either, is it?
No, yes it is. She's got the best life.
Yeah, but it's funny how I look at Winter, who you know, Auntie SJ, Auntie Sarah. I look at Winter and I think, I see how she's always just looking at everything and working everything out and seeing what, like, why is Sarah doing that? Why these conversations make me feel, and you notice everything. So I do see how at that age she's just
soaking it all up,
it all in. Yeah. And me and Nick have had a couple of not blowups, but a couple of arguments when I've been holding Winter.
Yeah. And
they weren't like massive, but they were big enough for me to walk away from it going, oh my God, fuck, I really shouldn't have had her on me while we're having those conversations. Or the same.
Hindsight's great.
Hindsight's great. Yeah. And I'm like,
you're doing the parenting bit right. If you're fucking her up a little bit, that's what you're supposed to do as a parent.
Oh man. So and you think about these things big time because we're most of us that, you know, in our friendship group, we're quite aware, one, but two, we work with people that have, you know, we're working to better people's mental health. So we see what's going on out in the world. And it's funny, they say that the more you not try and fuck your kids up, the more fucked up they'll be. Who said that? Was it Mel Robbins or someone?
I think Gabor Mate said
it. That's right.
I went to a talk of his. It was so uninspiring.
You did? How was it?
Because he just basically said we're all ruined, but in a beautiful way. Like, he's so intelligent. But
he's so intelligent, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so good. But that's the other thing. Like, it should relieve us a little bit. Like, it's just bound to happen to a degree. Humans are imperfect. Yeah. You're going to make mistakes. That's, even if you do the absolute best that you could do, and every day you're going to make a mistake at some point. And so it's coming to terms with that, you know. And I think it's important for kids to see that part of you. You know, some of the hardest things I see in my clients is when they realise that their parents aren't special, like, or superhuman. You know, they don't learn it until they're like 20, 25, where they start to see the human in their parent. And then that's a whole nother experience, whereas I think I was blessed in that way, whereas I saw my mum as a human being very early on, and I got to accept her as who she was very early on. And I think that love is far more, you know, sustainable in an unconditional way. But again, as parents, you've got to learn to love your kids unconditionally too. And, you know, that's just me observing. I haven't been lucky enough to have a child yet at this point in my life, but, you know, so it's hard to kind of give advice in that scenario, because I'm sure if I ever do get the opportunity, I'll change my mind upon that as well. But
what's your gut feel in that? Do you, because you've been quite vocal on socials and whatnot about going through your journey. But going through your journey.
No, I don't watch any of it because I'll just like cringe, going, "Oh my god!"
I love how you share your life on socials.
Well, I have to,
it's awesome.
You know, people think I'm different to what I am. They think I'm. Sorry, having my cup of tea.
No, it's probably cold by now.
It's all right. It's a
water.
drinky.
Yeah, baby.
People think for some reason when they look at me that I haven't like gone through anything hard or something. It's this bizarre misconception. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to talk a bit more about how I got into this field rather than just looking a certain way and here I am. I don't know what it is about what I look like, but that's some feedback that I've been given that
Isn't that
like
weird?
I've had an easy life, which is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether like I look polished or I look like I'm not relatable. So I'm trying to put out more content that's actually more of me talking about me as a person.
Yeah.
Anyone who meets me doesn't say that. That's just a small social media, percentage, because I guess they just see me working, not talking.
But how does the fact that that's happening, how does it affect you?
No, I don't really care anymore. I used to care, but not really anymore. I value a lot about, you know, what misconceptions are out there in the sense of, is it limiting me to be able to help more people? And that is a misconception that's limiting. You know, if people see me as something that's not relatable, then they're not going to maybe be inclined to study, you know, spinal energetics or to receive the work. So that's where I come from it. But, you know, people are going to have their perceptions of you. Instagram's a very interesting reality, or lack thereof reality kind of thing as well. You know, I think we're very blessed to have come from an age where we didn't have social media at some point in our life.
Yeah.
So I'm able to know who I am without it. But I do see a lot of struggle in younger people who that's their whole world. Like, they don't understand that that's separate to the real world. Like, they think everyone's watching them all the time and everything they do, and they're so just, you know, I can't remember, I was reading some study where people have developed a different part of their brain now in perception of, you know, they used to have like, what would I think of this and what would my family and friends think? Now they've developed another part in their brain. This is a terrible description, but they've developed another part where they now go, what would the world think of this?
Yeah.
Like, what would the social media world think of this?
Yeah.
So it's becoming part of, like, it's changing our neurology.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And yeah,
Man,
it's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah.
What was it, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, was the first time I actually dove into what's it called, Perplexity AI and ChatGPT.
I do talk to Chat.
And man,
I know. I said please and thank you to him, and then I realised, like, they did a thing the other day where it's like using up all these resources because everyone keeps saying please or thank you, because the amount of energy it takes to get these resources working, like where they actually come from, is pretty interesting. I haven't delved into that yet. I think it's got a great intelligence to it, but I've found even myself there's like a laziness. Where it's almost like I don't have the space in this busy world to think through things properly, and AI really helps me piece together fast. But at the end of the day,
that's exactly what I used it
do
for.
you feel like
100%. I was I'm doing a workshop soon, and I was like, fuck, what am I? And so I put in there what I'm looking to do.
Yeah.
Gave me the name of the workshop, gave me the description. It got to the point where I'm like, can you, mock up an Instagram post for me?
Yeah, and it
fucking did.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, oh my
and you
God.
can say, make it sound more like me, make it sound more like Tommy.
Exactly.
And it knows.
Unbelievable.
Look, the technology is going to be there whether we like it or not. So I think there's just got to be a way that we can learn to use it that's, that's everything that's an advancement technologically is also a way to better the world. I know that it can, there's intricacies with that, like in terms of there's negatives as well, but that's like everything. There's going to be positives to it too, and it's not going anywhere. So it's like, what can we do to use this power for good? You know what I mean? Instead of evil, how can we use it for good?
And you know what? Speaking of power, what you're doing, it's almost in line with AI, spinal energetics.
Yeah.
It's people would look at it and go, how does it work? And then, and then they'd sort of dive into it and they're like, fuck me. Like this is an actual understanding of how the energetics of the body and the spine and whatever work. It's unbelievable. And look, in terms of spinal energetics, it's almost a word that should be in the dictionary.
I hope it is.
Because you're getting it to that point. It's a global thing which a lot of people talk about, and I know you have to be a little bit mindful about what you say about it, and and whatever. But ultimately, what I love about what you do is that you're not an airy fairy, wearing beads and whatever the fuck else.
No.
Going, oh my God, yeah. No, I mean, it's all fine and good. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But with you, you're very pragmatic.
Yeah.
And what you do is a pretty fucking out there thing. And it's gone bananas all over the world.
Well, because I think people are, they're wanting, as polarizing as it is, you either love it or hate it when you see it. It's got no neutrality to it. It's either what's that or what is that? There's no in between.
Sorry, before you go on, do you remember the first time when you were studying this type of modality?
Yeah, well, spinal didn't exist the last time we spoke.
I know.
Yeah.
But what was the first time where you went, oh, what? Holy shit, something's going on here?
Probably when I first started looking into network spinal, which is one of the inspirations of spinal energetics. Network spinal is a chiro technique that was developed by Donnie Epstein. So it's different, and people who know the both works will understand why it's different. But that was my first insight into the feeling that there was something else going on in my body. I remember getting they call it an entrainment, and she just touched on my sacrum, and through that sacrum I just felt like a surge of energy go down through my leg, to the point where I'm like, did I feel what I think I just felt? That's weird. She just touched me there. How could that have worked through there? And then she did it again, and then I just felt like almost like a psychedelic kind of experience from these light touches on my spine. And I was like, there's something that once I felt that, I was like, there's something I need to dedicate my life to here. I don't know what this is, but I need to figure it out. And every practitioner works differently, whether it's spinal energetics, kundalini activation, network spinal, these are all, or inner dance, these are all variances of what people think are the same thing, but they definitely all have their own specific dialects, so to speak. It's almost like they speak their own language within the language. But people are looking for something more, something outside of just talk therapy being offered. That's not to say talk therapy isn't of a benefit. It is. I've got a counselling background. I've had psychotherapy. I've had, CBT. I've had EMDR. They're all very, very beneficial. EMDR especially for me in my life. But again, that kind of starts working with the unconscious in a different way besides just talk therapy. But, I knew if I was searching for that, other people must have been too. Maybe not everyone, but it was never going to appeal to everyone initially. But I think everyone has this part of them that wants to belong. Everyone has this part of them that wants to feel like they've got a meaningful and purposeful life. So it's really universal. It's just the look of it doesn't necessarily appeal universally yet. But the different levels have changed the way that it looks too. So level 2, people don't move as much. We did that purposely so that it could, maybe appeal to a more everyday person than someone who's necessarily on a spiritual path. At the moment with level 1, we get a lot of spiritually inclined people, people who have already done a lot of other things and are looking for more, depth. Spinal energetics isn't necessarily where you start on your journey. Maybe you start with breath work. Yeah. Maybe you start with Reiki, and then spinal energetics comes a little bit
later
after
on.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was a Reiki master, or whatever the fuck that is. But I mean, you know that.
Yeah, I do.
But I remember back in the day, I used to treat clients like 3 to 4, maybe sometimes even 5 a day, and let alone exhausted at the end of the day. But I remember when I was treating these clients, so many I got so many messages from people's bodies, and it rarely happened that people would have a physical movement or anything. It happened a few times where I think I tapped in, and there was this one time this girl was bloody convulsing on my bed, and I'm like, what do I do with this? You know, and I freaked out because I'm just like, what am I meant to do here? And I remember just intuitively, I put my hand on her heart, and the other was one hand on her heart and the other one somewhere like on her forehead or something. I can't remember. And I just kept saying, it's all good. You're good. You're good. Just settle into it. Because her arms are out. She's like full exorcism style. Man, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot to hold as a practitioner.
It's a lot. But also, I remember after that, I'm like, okay, this is serious business. You're not just floating your hands around somewhere. Like once you tap in to someone's energetic field, you can really I think it's a twofold. You have to trust the person that's the practitioner and let them in, and two, as a practitioner, you have to have full responsibility that if someone releases some serious shit, you've got to hold that space for them.
I am a bit surprised about how many people don't understand the reverence of that, though. You know, we talk a lot about it in our courses, because obviously they see this thing and they want to, like, this skill set, and they want to be able to do it, and they want to help people, but some people underestimate what it means to do that, you know. And what strategies do you have within yourself to be able to, you know, then hold that. That's the hardest part about the work, you know. Not the theory of it, although the theory is not that easy either. All right, it's a much more in-depth modality than what people think. There's a lot of theory. We don't advertise that too much, but by the time people get in the course, they're like, oh my God, this isn't what I thought it would be. They thought that we were just going to be like, follow your intuition for the whole time, you know, and that doesn't work in the Western world. Most Western people don't have very good intuition, so you can't just be like the body's a wonderland, go wherever you feel, like, oh, let's go to the heart, you know. They don't know what they're doing. So we teach them, you know, from a more theory-based, you know, structured Western kind of, you know, model first, and then once they feel into that, then they can start developing their intuition with that, you know, and becoming skilled in that way. But yeah, I guess for me, I am surprised, you know, just in the community as a whole, not necessarily Spinal Energetics, but the community of energy workers, where they're like, oh, I want to teach this straight away. They're just like, they don't want to take the time to develop the skill. They just want to go straight into let me move your body. Yeah, straight into catharsis, straight into, I don't know why. As soon as they experience it, they don't necessarily seem that keen on it after that. But because it's if you don't know what to do,
it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Totally.
You know, so
it's almost like
responsibility.
Big time. It's almost like being a surgeon.
Yeah.
And having a first-year surgeon come out of uni going, all right, go...
Scalpel.
Totally.
I think this is the knee.
Yeah.
You know, you want them to have the right tools, but also the right understanding and the theory and the experience before they start going into those bigger expansions, which we're pretty big on as a modality. I'm pretty proud of that, with what we've got happening in that regard and in our community. But yeah, it is interesting. Look, I can't blame them in the sense, like, it's such a beautiful thing, and then you're helping people in a way that, you know, it wasn't necessarily in existence in our world, you know, 10 years ago. It was very small. Like, Donny Epstein came up with Network, I think, in the 80s. In a dance.
Is that the Gwyneth Paltrow dude?
That's John Amaral. So John and I were both network spinal chiropractors, but John's got his own energetic technique as well. I can't remember what his is called, but he's a brilliant chiropractor. Basically, the lineage in the West is chiropractic for this kind of work. So if you're looking into doing this work and the person hasn't got a chiropractic lineage within the West, they're not someone I would particularly learn from. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there at the moment, which scares me in this field, who are like, I'm an energetic cold spacer, and you look at it, there's no credentials. And I'm not saying that credentials are everything. They're not. Like, there's something far more important than education. I'm not denying that. I'd like to think that I have a balance of both of those things, but in terms of the way that the Western culture has been structured in terms of lineages, chiropractic is it in terms of this work. That's just the reality. And people need to uphold lineages, even if it is different. Even if you do a kirtan, even if you do yoga, you always pay tribute to the lineage.
Absolutely.
People don't tend to want to do that anymore.
They just want
their own lineage.
Yeah. Lineage.
I am Sarah. I downloaded this.
Yeah. Do people? I'm intrigued. Do people look at you as a guru in some?
I hope not.
No, but do that like at your courses and whatnot. And I'm not you don't have to big note yourself or anything.
I think I'd disappoint them pretty quickly if that's what they were doing. I'd say I can see the disappointment on day one usually.
No, you can't.
No, I can because. No, it's good because they see me and they meet me and they're like I can see their faces. They're perplexed.
Like, oh, she's normal.
They're like, this is weird. Like, I don't know. I think they're expecting me to be like, hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Let's all hold hands.
You're not that.
And I'm just not like that.
No, you're not.
And I don't think true spirituality is necessarily that. I'm not saying it's not that, but I think, for me, I've never met so many egotistical people as I have in the spiritual realm, like anywhere else. Like I agree. Yeah, it was worse than normal life.
Man, I spent 15, 20 years in the music industry.
Better than the spiritual community for sure.
Holy shit. And that was bad. But since I've been in the yoga, coaching, Reiki, all this type of stuff, man,
really
there's some serious backstabbing going on.
Oh, God, huge. I've had it. I've still got knives in my back now. I've never experienced anything like it until I went into this kind of work. And I think that is also because, you've got people who have gone through a lot in their life attracted to, yoga, this kind of work. And instead of them actually necessarily working through it, they just get different language terms. Like, this is a boundary, Tommy. Like, no, you're just being an asshole. That's not a boundary. Like, so, it provides excuses for some really narcissistic, terrible behaviour that I just won't put up with.
And that's the thing. Like, I think we all come across that, but it's up to you whether you want to get involved in that or not.
No. And, it's interesting. Like, we've spoken about this before, like in Australia with like the tall poppy syndrome and stuff like that. Like, I'll have people who've never even met me be like, oh, she's this, she's that. I'm like, you don't know. You don't even, you've not even met me. You've never even had a session. Like, where are you coming up with these opinions?
Even if they wanted a session, they wouldn't even be able to get a session.
Exactly. Who's narcissistic now? Me. Like it's just an I've learned a lot. People who you think are your friends aren't necessarily your friends. People will use you. People will take everything they can from you. Like, that's something I've had to learn. Like, I've been such a giver my whole life, and I want to help and I want to give, and then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe be a little bit more discerning. That's something I've had to learn over the last few years, which is a bit unfortunate. It's not my nature. But otherwise, you just have to be okay with people doing what they do with what you've freely given, and people will do that. Yeah. That's just life,
I find it so interesting, and I've said this to you before, that you're single. I just don't get it.
I get it.
No, I know.
What part don't you get it?
Well, I just don't get it, because I would envisage you with,
I don't think I'd be easy to date.
Well, no one's easy to date. I don't think anyone's easy to date.
I mean, think people I reflect a lot upon someone if they were to date me. But you know what I'm like as well? I don't sleep with anyone. I'm very boring.
Like, you are. I mean, I wouldn't say
traditional.
Boring. No, that's not boring at all. I mean, I
can be boring.
I know people would look at me and go, "You're so easygoing," and blah.
You are easygoing.
Yeah, but dude, I'm just as hard to live with, and I have my own shit that gets on people's nerves.
You're almost too easygoing. That would get on my nerves. Like, Tommy, have a response to something.
Totally.
Jesus.
I just fucking hate.
Yeah, babe. Yeah, babe. Tommy.
No, I'm not a massive fan of conflict, which I've talked about many times. I'm working on it, and I'm getting good at it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to step into the fire. But with you, there's it's just I find it interesting that you hold such a big space in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not about, I don't think for you it's about sharing it with anyone, but I find
I'd like to, though.
I know, which
Yeah,
you will.
yeah.
I mean, it'll come, but how I look at you and I'm not saying you're perfect, because you're not.
I am.
You're just as fucked up as the next person.
I'm pretty good.
But
No, I'm joking.
I definitely believe that
I'm a good partner, though. I will say that.
you'd be a
I
great
know I am
partner.
a good
Yeah,
partner.
yeah.
And I always have been. I'm a very loyal, trustworthy, will do anything for the person I love. Like, I am solid in that. I know I'm a good person, and I'm a good partner. But also those traits, like in terms of what I do and the work that I do, I think they've almost made me less attractive to men.
Because you're independent, you've got your own business.
I don't know. Like, it's definitely, yeah. Like,
You're a power woman, man.
see, I don't like that. I hope I'm not. I don't know what I am. I'm just
No,
a
you're
person
not.
doing my thing. But I think also it's not attractive necessarily to men. So, like, for women, they look for, like, where you're at in your career or what do you have. Like, most of the time, like, what job does he do? What does he do? That, da, da, da. Men don't ask that. Men don't particularly care if you are on a mission throughout life. Not all men, obviously. That's a generalisation. But it's not necessarily a trait that they look for in terms of attractiveness. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe with what I do, it's a bit odd. Maybe people don't necessarily understand that. I don't know. It's. I'm a pretty different person too, I guess. I think.
Describe your perfect man.
Perfect.
or describe the man that would have the nads to stand next to.
Well,
Sarah
they need to have
Jane.
a bit of that in them, don't they?
Nads, balls.
Yeah.
Balls are dropped.
Yeah, they need that. I don't want to be making decisions in my private life necessarily. I'd like someone to kind of take the lead on that, someone who's trustworthy to make good decisions and good judgment, someone who's passionate about their own thing, has a drive and ambition in the world to make it better as well, similar values but in a different way.
Yeah.
Someone who's supportive, kind, loyal, trusting, loving, funny.
Isn't it funny how when it comes to other people, it's so easy to see where they need to change shit up and do it. But when it comes to our own lives,
what do I need to change? We've discussed this.
no, yeah, I don't think you need to change anything.
No.
The only thing that I keep believing with you is, and I'm not sure if I said this to you the other day, is that I reckon if a man came in that's actually worthy of who you are, I think you would run a mile, because that's fucking scary. I don't want, because that's scary for you.
I want to run a mile towards him.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That'd be too vulnerable for you, because you'd have to.
I want to hope that I could. Like, I think I'd feel that way at the start. Yeah, like I agree. Like, I think I would be a bit. Oh shit!
But you'd have to get to that. You don't even let yourself get to that spot.
I don't know. I'm an interest. I'd love to take some calls on people. I've
This would be cool. It was a radio show.
Yeah,
and we're like,
guys,
all
can
right,
you just
calls.
call in? And a few will call up and be like, she never wrote back. She just doesn't.
You're a perfect guy. Yeah, he's like literally there waiting for you.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I'm an interesting character. I can't tell you what it is, but I just know it when I see it.
Yeah. So where would you see if you had the perfect next steps? Mm-hmm. Where is SJ in 5 years?
That's a hard question.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because I'm not a planner that way.
It's a heart question. I'm not talking about a logical answer.
I'm logical, so
no,
more
not
heart.
logical.
Yeah,
so,
well, obviously,
a heart answer.
I would like how I'd like to feel as well. I'd like to feel content, but still have a growth mindset, but content in that growth. I'd like to feel loved. I'd like to love someone else and share a life with someone and create a life with someone. Like, as much as I love what I do, I get to go to a lot of cool places with like, you know, people like my team and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I'm waking up by myself and going to sleep by myself. Like, it'd be just so much cooler to share it with someone you love.
Yeah.
It's like seeing
Other
the
than
sunset.
a vibrator.
Yeah, well, no, I'm actually not into vibrators. I'm not into that. It feels hard.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. I've never tried
I'd
one.
rather my hand. Just
Okay, there you
people
go.
know. There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Shit. Why did I agree to this? Help. SOS.
Yeah.
But it would just be nice to share something with someone. It's like seeing a beautiful sunset by yourself. It's lovely. It's amazing. But how good is it to look like next to you and see someone else that you love admiring it with you? Like, it's just a different feel. You know, I'd like to have a child one day if that's in my plan. Like to travel, you know, just have a bit of a simple and content life, but then on the opposite end of that, something that's truly meaningful, purposeful and magnificent.
Magnificence.
Magnificence.
Yeah.
It'd help if I could say the word. Magnificent? Magnificent at the same time.
Yeah. And
fun and funny.
Fun, yeah.
Like,
and one more thing I want to touch on, which I was thinking about earlier today. What do you think people are struggling with the most at this day and age in
Themselves.
2025 in May, April? Is it April still?
no.
Is it May
close
or
to
April?
We're April, close to May.
End
End of April.
It's end of April,
We don't even know what
2025.
day it is. That's obviously
What
the
a-
first struggle.
What are people in
Themselves and forgiving. I think forgiving people is a real hard thing. People stay trapped a lot because they can't forgive. Judgment as well. People are very judgmental. And I think that shows a real lack of intelligence, a real lack of care, a real lack of empathy, a real lack of depth. You know, people don't want to ask questions. They just want to assume instead. I think people should get more curious around that. If you don't understand something, maybe instead of, you know, dismissing it, look into it, be open to it, try to, you know, see what that is. But yeah, I think society is at an interesting point. You know, I see like such opportunity in it, and then I see other parts where it's just, you know, lacking in other areas. But I guess that's going to be a lot of life, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess for me and from what I see, people just really loving themselves and therefore receiving love and giving love is still really one of the hardest things to do.
That is, I think that's a big one. It's a huge one.
Well, with this
Loving
work,
yourself.
that's what it is. You have to love yourself to book the appointment.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to receive love to a degree from a practitioner. And it's not that kind of love, but the field of unconditional love is there. So that's what a lot of people are fearful of. You know, receiving that, giving that, feeling that. It's not easy.
What would be a good step towards giving yourself some love, injecting yourself with some love?
Oh, it just happens like look at what you do every day. Like, what are you doing that's loving for yourself just on the daily? Like, you know, it doesn't mean it's easy, some of the things.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
but if you love yourself, what do you do every day that shows that? You know, I get up at a certain time, I have a cup of tea. I do that because I love that for me. You know, I go and walk Cooper by the beach every morning, like, because we love that, you know. Then, you know, I might go to the gym. I don't really love doing that, but I know because I want my body to be healthy and fit, that's a sense of love. You know, what am I eating? Am I going to choose to eat that, eat this? You know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, who am I eating with? Like, who am I surrounding myself with? Who am I spending time with? What am I watching? What am I listening to? You know, there's some quote out there that your diet's not just what you eat. It's like what you surround yourself with, what you listen to, what you watch, all of that stuff. You just have to have a level of, you know, what are you consuming all the time? And is it helping you love yourself more, or is it taking that love from you? Like, sometimes even if I'm on social media and I'll see someone, I'm like, ooh, that's making me feel bad about who I am. Like, I don't look like that, or I don't, you know, then I have to really look at myself and go, okay, that person's maybe not someone to follow right now in your life. Whatever. It's like, so taking care of yourself that way too. But yeah, I suppose for me, that's how I love myself, you know. And even, you know, if I have to go visit my mum and things, I have to really sit with myself. Am I in the day-to-day to be able to love her properly and be loving towards myself to be put in that scenario? If not, then I don't go that day, and I love myself anyway. Because there's a lot of guilt that comes with that, but I love myself anyway. Because it's hard. Life's not simple.
No.
I don't think it was meant to be, but
I don't think so. I really do believe that theory that our souls come down for a little contract.
what did we sign?
They come down to learn the lessons there is to learn. So sometimes when I'm in a challenge, which is quite fucking often, as in an internal,
Despite the pristine childhood.
I sometimes, like, every time my little mantra has been, okay, so what does my soul want to actually, what lesson? And it sounds a bit airy-fairy, but it's not really. It's not.
No.
It's like, what's the fucking soul, the deep soul lesson that I need to learn here? And it's so cool when you look at it that way. The surface stuff almost, it just dwindles away.
Yeah.
And you sit back and you're like, okay, and you almost feel like it's an honor to be in that challenge, because you get to experience, you know that there's a growth moment coming.
Well, there has to be. What other choice do you have? Like, do we want to sit and be sad for the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Nah,
you know,
fuck no.
like, it's, everyone's got a reason to do that. You know, everyone's had something happen in their life where they could just sit in that. But it's not part of, you know, even like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. We're not meant to end the journey there. We're meant to overcome and come back home to ourselves. That's what the purpose is. So I think we're just doing that over and over again throughout our lives, but through different things and different depths and different ways. But, you know, I also, you know, I don't exactly understand why we're here or how we're here, and I just don't. But I think the most beautiful things in life are nonsensical. You know, like when I met you, you know, I was learning Reiki. If you had told me like 7 years from then, I'd be sitting here with you, basically living with your child. And,
so,
you know, like
on the daily.
Yeah, and close to Nicola, I didn't even know exists then. Like, you know, it's actually like so cool to not be able to predict all these things.
Totally.
You know? And like when you meet someone, like to understand the depth of what that meeting could be for the rest of your life, like that's, like you'd have no idea how that person is going to change, like you and your life. So that's why I enjoy meeting new people, because it's like, what door is that opening up for me? But then on the other hand, I'm completely antisocial as well. So,
well, I think most people are these days. Yeah.
I do struggle socially. Working on that. We're going to this really cool event next week to do a speaking event at Kylo in Brisbane. I'm really looking forward to it. And my PR was like, and so this night we're doing networking drinks, and this night we're doing networking drinks. And I was like, no, how do I network? She's like, don't worry. She's just told me half the room's people I know. So that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, I guess for me, like when I socialize, it can either really drain me or really fulfill me. And the fulfilling ones are when I get to be able to be who I am, feel like I'm not judged, feel like they're not judged, and just having like actual conversations about things rather than me trying to get something from someone. Yeah. Like, oh, I want to be on this thing, so I better be nice to this person. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah,
that does. I've tried all that.
Did that work?
Nah.
You did pretty well though in America.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, look, back in those, that's where I basically learned that as soon as you're using or you're manipulating or you're using to get to someone to get to the next thing,
there's no joy in it. It's just never enough.
Yeah, I mean, the journey's actually quite interesting because I did it for 6 years, trying to battle down doors and trying to suck up to anyone that we could. Yeah. And it didn't do anything other than we got to go to a few good Hollywood parties and stuff.
You definitely did. I don't know if you can fight fate in that way.
No, it was always meant to be. And also, even though that was some of the hardest times in my life, more so from a mental and self-destructive point of view, it was when I came back, I had hair on my balls. When I came back from LA, I was Yeah, I was a grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that like,
It is.
you know, you just went through a rites of passage in a really extreme Tommy way.
Totally.
You know, but like not everyone gets to go through their rites of passage in LA.
No.
You know, with their mates and
Exactly.
you know, doing something they love.
Yeah,
You know. So yeah, I don't know, like you just don't know what's going to happen. That's like even when you say where do you want to be 5 years from now, it's really hard because I can say where I want to be, but what actually where I want to be and what he's going to be are different.
Yeah.
And I think where I end up, I'll be happy anyway.
Totally.
You know, like,
Well, you have to be.
well, I just want to be, you know, although it looks like I'm always like, everyone's like, oh, you work so much. You always look so driven. You always like, nothing's ever enough. Or I'm like, nah, that's not what it is. Like, I just love what I do. It's part of me. You know, I don't know how to be in this world without doing that yet. But if there ever comes a time where I don't want to do it anymore, I won't. I feel like an artist, like you. Like, you know, if you didn't want to play music anymore,
Yeah.
you just don't. But it's kind of
Just
part
don't.
of you. Like, you
It's
see a
part-
guitar, you just want to pick it up and play it.
Totally.
Might be different, you know, scenarios with that. But once you've played it, you can't unplay it.
No.
Like, it would be very rare for someone to know how to play guitar,
Yeah.
never just pick it up again.
Yeah, it's music's always going to be part of my life, and yeah, I mean, it's so weird because even with my, I mean, my passion now is, I don't know, hopefully do something with this podcast. It'll do it. I mean, with
very good at
consistency
it.
and whatever,
Yeah.
it'll start rocking. But it's
And
funny.
with the two best guests in the world,
Oh,
Kat and
fuck
I.
yeah, baby. But it was funny before you got here. Oh no, it was it was last night. I'm like, babe, I've got to go set up my podcast and, you know, make sure it's all good for Sarah Jane tomorrow. And she's like, why are you even doing that? It's not making any money. I'm like,
That's so Nick.
it's so
Nicola.
Nick. I'm like, you know what? I'm just not
Well,
going to
because she
explain.
wouldn't do it if it didn't make money. No, but she's also not a creative. She's a very
She's not a
different
creative.
energy. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
she's very, you know, she's a lawyer. Like,
She's a lawyer.
she's like, you do this,
Yeah,
and then that
that
equates to
happens.
this, and
Exactly.
then that's how the world works.
Yeah.
So just a different way of
It
thinking.
is.
But
It is.
you
Because
need
I
a
look at
varied
this.
amount of
I
thinking.
look at this podcast as a way to share just a bit of gold. You know, whether there's 10 listeners, 100, whatever. I mean, it's actually I've got a really good listening
You've
base.
been doing it a while. Yeah,
But it's more so, you know, if it reaches 1 million, am I then going to be fucking happy?
probably not.
Probably not, because so I do it, even setting it up this new way with the cameras and all
Yeah, I
that
think
type
it
of
looks
shit.
good.
I'm like, this feels really cool. It's a cool little adventure.
But that's so to me, like, not everything has to make money.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, like half the stuff I do isn't for money.
No,
like
of
I don't
course.
get paid to do
Yeah.
most of the stuff I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. What do I owe you for today?
Yeah, we'll talk about that off air. No, yeah, something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe an egg.
Egg.
I like when you cook me
fuck.
eggs.
You like the way I cook eggs?
Yeah, I
don't you?
do.
Done.
Nice boiled egg.
I'll cook you a fucking good egg, babe. All right. SJ,
Yeah.
I love you.
Sorry, was that okay? I don't even know what I'm doing here
We're
today.
here.
We're here. We're just talking.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It was so cool.
Sorry. It's like, if I let you down.
What do you
Is that
mean?
okay?
What are you talking?
I feel like I've just let you down.
How?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
It's the perfectionist in me.
Dude, that was awesome.
Okay, that's good.
I will push stop at this point. Maybe this point.
Maybe this one, yeah.
We're at
Yeah.
now. Thanks, SJ.
Thanks for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I let you down, it's not like I was being a goose.
No way.
I think it's good just to have a natural conversation for once.